We're back on the XF52 podcast, brought to you as always by Jimmy's Famous Seafood. My name is Jake Louque. I'm joined by Spenny the Rat. Hopefully, hope he avoids the rat poison here, because I mean, geez Louise, it got to him last week. We all know that. How we doing tonight, sir?
Yeah, I'm the rat. The Ravens were rats. We're celebrating the death of the rat. I'm gonna by the end of this show. So, man, the rats have come to feast, to fester. So it's time to remove your excuses. You lost to the Browns. You feel like an idiot. You dropped another AFC game, and stop taking the cheese. Stop taking the cheese defensively. Stop taking the cheese. Stop biting on shit that isn't even there. Stop gnawing on play action before it even happens. Stop trying to be crazy, smart, complex all the time. Yeah, where is Jake? I see a tall man in a straw hat, some sort of offensive genius from Minnesota making some things happen here. Speaking poetically.
No. Our job is to win games. I've been there, all right? I've been at a San Diego State. We were 5th in total offense, 6th in scoring, and I got my ass fired because we lost games. No, I'm not frustrated.
Cut the cameras off. Cut the cameras off. Cut the cameras off.
Fuck the Titans.
Happy Halloween. Happy Festivus. Happy all of it. We got Chad in here. What's going on, everybody? We're going to be doing our Derrick Henry jersey giveaway around the 22-minute mark. We're going to talk a little Ravens, a little Broncos, a little this, a little that, all that good stuff as we proceed to give y'all what you need. Let us know what you were for Halloween in the chat here as well. Welcome to the Ravens Broncos preview. Let's get some vibes going. Lamar Jackson banged up, Jake, has missed practice back-to-back days. Travis Jones banged up. Nate Wiggins back to full participant. From what we heard, he was pretty damn sick. Marlon Humphrey has been limited. Hopefully just taking it easy. Tough spot. Physical Broncos team has something to prove. 6-3 is a big deal to that Broncos team. Rookie quarterback coming on the road. Not a Pacific time zone, but a West Coast-ish team. They're really the Midwest. Midwest, 2-hour time difference. Mountain time. Colorado Rocky High time. Heading east.
Colorado is not the Midwest, my brother. What are we talking about?
On the physical, if you look at the U.S. like a rectangle, it's middle west. Let's be clear here.
I agree. I get what you're saying, but brother,
it's not the West Coast.
It's not the West Coast.
Like people act like Cleveland. Cleveland's not the Midwest.
No, I mean technically not. Like I don't think Ohio actually is within what is defined as the Midwest.
I'll give you this. I'll give you that the Rocky Mountains can be the dividing point of what is the West, and they're right on the entrance of that.
They're the West. Like they're not. Yeah.
Colorado is the South, according to one Biz Nasty. Great point there.
Oh yeah, and yeah. I mean that's a guy that has had all sorts of accurate takes lately, talking about Shohei Ohtani and rest in peace.
Shohei
Ohtani, you know what they got going on there. God, what an all-timer that was. Love Biz.
So we've got some rat poison still, it feels like, going around this Ravens team. Ravens 9.5-point favorites. Fluctuates, depends on books. I've seen 9, I've seen 10.5 throughout the week. I've looked at a couple different books. 9.5-point favorites, 1:00 Sunday. Bo Nix and the Broncos, Sean Payton, Jake's favorite coach, probably his 2 favorites in the league, probably Sean Payton, Aaron Rodgers. Those are his kinfolk, one might say. Headed into Baltimore. The Ravens have had weird games against the Broncos and weird games against Sean Payton over the years. As we look back through Ravens-Saints history, dating back through the Payton years, there was that weird Justin Tucker eyeball game, the 24-23 win, one of the 2 wins that the Saints have ever had against the Ravens. The Ravens went there in 2022, won 27-13, kind of ran train on them. Was that Roquan Smith's debut? I believe so.
Yes. Yeah.
I believe that was his debut. I think they traded for him and he played that week and he played outstanding. Everyone was like, oh, holy shit. 2014, 34-27. In that game, Steve Smith catches a touchdown pass. Jimmy Graham catches a touchdown pass. Justin Forsett has a little run. Will Hill pick six, or excuse me, Will Hill kick return off of Justin Tucker. What the hell does it say? I don't remember that play. Will Hill 44-yard interception return. Justin Tucker kick. Guess pick six of Drew Brees. Justin Tucker had the extra point. There we go. Justin Tucker 55-yard field goal. Forsett has another 20-yard run to really break things open, 34-20. The Saints score in the fourth quarter to make it 34-27, and no one scored after or no one scored late there with 14 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Something like that.
Yeah, they needed that. The Ravens needed that one big time. I remember watching that in UP down in Salisbury. That was a good one.
They did a lot of 30-something to 20-something games between these two teams in those Sean Payton years there. And then when you think of Ravens Broncos, to throw it in, I mean, there's quite a history. One Vic Fangio, as Jake likes to say, involved in some hijinks. The Ravens, I'm going to knock on wood profusely here. That was when Lamar Jackson got banged up in the bank. He gets sacked, kind of blindsided, even though he was looking left, knocks his knee up. 10-9 game, a James Prochet interception, reverse interception. That was kind of the pick heard around the world, and the pick that made Greg Roman heard around the world be a thing. So 10-9 there. The 23-7 game in 2021, where Vic Fangio got pissed off at the Ravens for running the ball late to continue their streak of 100-plus yard rushing games. A 14-27 game back in 2018 towards the end of the Joe Flacco era in Baltimore. Royce Freeman 6-yard run, Alex Collins 6-yard run, Emmanuel Sanders 35-yard run, Tucker kicks a field goal. Buck Allen 2-touchdown game. That probably had some juicy odds on the old sports books, the physical ones or the illegal ones, either or, back in the day. 2015, the Broncos defeated the Ravens 19-13. They also crushed the Ravens back in 2013. That big Peyton Manning explosion following the Mile High Miracle, and of course the Mile High Miracle, which preceded that a few months prior. So Peyton, little funky history. Broncos, always been a weird opponent for the Ravens. What do you think of when you think of Ravens and Broncos, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts immediately go to the Manning years, but obviously that wasn't very long. You know, they kind of squared off with them a good amount of times because it was in 2012, that regular season. You know, they had that kind of depths of your season lost to them with Flacco throwing that pick six, and then just several weeks later they go in there and they have the Mile High Miracle. Then you play them in week one immediately after that season, and that's the 7-touchdown game. And then you play them again in 2015. You talk about that, whatever that was, the 12-9 loss. Just remember Flacco throwing a pick to Darian Stewart, former Raven, in the end zone on that one. Revenge game for him. Broncos were going to win the Super Bowl that year. That was Peyton's last season. So yeah, I think that would certainly be the ones that I would think of, but Ravens also faced off against them, I think, in the wild card round of their first Super Bowl season. Beat them there. That was the Shannon Sharp long touchdown. So a lot of history, and for a couple of teams that aren't in the same division and aren't really what I would consider rivals at all. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to pick from, but I certainly, at the top of my mind, always comes that Peyton Manning era, and also, of course, Tebow walking the Steelers off there with Demaryius Thomas. May he rest in peace. That was a fun one for me.
That was a lot of fun. I watched that at a freaking American Legion or whatever the hell they're called. Can't think right now. One of those in Carroll County. Injury report here. Rasheen Ali, we're trying to work his way back. Marlon Humphrey, limited. Lamar Jackson has not practiced. Very worried there. There's some comments from Todd Monken, who seemed a little more feisty in a dejected way, which does not encourage me about Lamar Jackson. Harbaugh saying that Jackson was getting a rest day, which I should have known earlier was bullshit, because if you get a rest day, it says NIR, not injury related. And it said back and knee. Lamar has a little bit of a back, a little bit of a knee going on. Travis Jones getting 2 days off. The Ravens have one healthy defensive lineman that is not on the injury report or injured reserve that's on their active roster. Justin Madubuike. They have Topu. They have Chris Wormley, who I would expect both to play in this game. Wormley been sneakily floating around there in the background for a little while. Broderick Washington, a limited and then did not practice. Hate that. Brent Urban, concussion, hasn't practiced. Keaton Mitchell, a little bit of good news there. Does not have a brace on his knee as he works back. Nate Wiggins, we did hear, was a really bad illness. some folks were surprised he was able to be a full participant today or practice at all yesterday. So that's encouraging. For the Broncos, nothing. They are as healthy as they can be, which is just fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This is kind of gut check time, and I think I can give him a pass if Lamar can't go in this one. But if he can go at all, if he can go 80%, you got to figure out a way to win this one. You're talking about a young team that has not been there. You're talking about a young quarterback that is very much growing into this role as he goes. He's looking substantially better than he did when he first started out the season. Very physically talented, obviously. It's almost like the positive timeline Anthony Richardson here with Bo Nix a little bit. And that's kind of what happens when you have a mind like Sean Payton to work with. And so, they're coming into their own, but this is a game that if you're trying to win the Super Bowl, you got to get this one at home. Like we were talking about with Brian on the recap last week, you can only afford so many stupid losses a year. You already got 2 of them in the bank here with the Browns and the Raiders. You can't afford to have another one of these if Jackson can go. So if you can get him out there at 80%, guess what? You got Derrick Henry, you got good receivers, you got a couple good tight ends, an offensive line that has been learning as it goes and doing a decent enough job. And you've got a defense that needs to figure things out, needs to just start playing better collectively, needs to simplify things. Where is the better opportunity going to be than at home during the day game against a rookie quarterback? It's not going to get much easier than that. So I talked about last week being the reality check game and it winding up as a loss. This is a gut check game. You gotta figure this one out if Lamar can go. And if he can't, I'll give you grace. But if he's out there, man, this would be a pretty bad loss.
It would be. And the Ravens are 8-point favorites on DraftKings. I'm looking through next gen stats here. We can get into the tape a little bit here. I do have some things clipped. I can run through some stats as well. Bo Nix to this point has been horrific on the road. He has been awful to this point, which, hey, I get it. Crowd noise, rookie quarterback. I will say they have an offense with training wheels in many ways. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. They are 5-3, probably large in part because of that. Bo Nix has a 67.9 passer rating on the road in 4 road games. He averages 4.48 yards per attempt. He averages 144 yards per game. He has run a little bit more frequently and a little bit more aggressively on the road. He has 578 yards overall, just 1 touchdown and 2 picks, as opposed to at home, 7 touchdowns, 3 picks, 94.6 passer rating. He has only taken 2 sacks on the road, which is crazy. The one thing he's done really well is avoid sacks, has turned the ball over twice. That's a rookie quarterback turning the ball over twice in 4 road games. That's good. So they are playing to their defense, playing to their run game on the road. I expect them to do the exact same, especially considering the Ravens' current state of their defensive line. But night and day difference statistically. The opponents, he's had some tough defenses at home and on the road. I don't think there's a huge variance there overall, just based on the eye test. This team overall, as we can just kind of roll through some things here, some fast stats, things of that nature. The Broncos blitz a ridiculous amount. They rush 5, they rush 6. They really blitz a lot on first and second down. I had the numbers I was shooting to you and Cole earlier that I am trying to pull up now, but they have blitzed 1 metric shitload. They've run a lot of cover 1 and a lot of cover 3. What I said to you and Cole was the Broncos run a shitload of cover 1. They blitz 54.1% of the time when they run cover 1. They don't really blitz playing middle of the field open coverages. Relatively, they blitz a little bit more frequently, but if you see those 2 high safeties, they don't disguise a ton, which is something we've talked about maybe the Ravens getting into doing. They do not blitz on 3rd and long at all. They'll blitz on 3rd and short. They'll blitz on 3rd and medium up to 3rd and 5, but on 3rd and 7 or more, they are not rushing you. They are rushing 4. They are playing defense. They basically live in middle of the field closed coverages, meaning a single high safety. Like you think of Ed Reed, Earl Thomas, or Minka Fitzpatrick, those rangy safeties. That's where they live. They run 65.3% of their defensive snaps out of those coverages. However, when they run 2 high safety looks, cover 2, cover 4, aka quarters, cover 6, they force opposing offenses to have negative 1.1 EPA per play. They are dominant when they run those. So when they mix those in, I think they do disguise into those a little bit more, which is probably a big reason why. So they haven't really played any rushing quarterbacks. They played Justin Fields, who had a weird game against them, kind of wasn't really looking to run. But other than that, they haven't really played they haven't played Kyler Murray or Mahomes or, Hurts or any of these other quarterbacks yet. So that's kind of some fast stats on them overall. Jake, what are your vibes around this Broncos team and their kind of personnel and what you see from them?
Yeah, it's interesting this defense is kind of playing so well as people put it. Just because looking at these names, like I really don't know a lot of these guys, and I'm not like as tuned in on the league as I kind of was maybe, let's say, 8, 10 years ago when I was playing a ton of Madden and I just knew every team from all like the rosters and all that kind of stuff. So looking at these guys, I see a John Franklin Myers. That's a name I know. I see a Jonathan Cooper. That is a name I know. Of course, I know Pat Surtain. I know Riley Moss because he's a little bit of a trailblazer here, following in the footsteps of Jason Sehorn and other such luminaries in that regard. And it seems like he's actually off to a solid start. I remember seeing him get a pick, and there was maybe some comparisons to some other groundbreaking athletes, so that's great to see. But yeah, man, this guy Brandon Jones, strong safety, 86.7 PFF grade. Over top of him, Devin Key. I know Nick Benito from college. He doesn't look like he's playing too well via PFF. You got Brandon Allen. You got I'm just naming guys, but I'm doing so because of the fact that I don't know a ton of these guys super well. Cody Barton at linebacker,
A lot of
Sternad.
a lot of no names. A lot of no names. A lot of people are not familiar with who is playing on the Broncos defensive unit right now.
Right, and I don't
Other than
even.
like Pat Surtain, I'll throw Zach Allen in there. Um, Jonathan Cooper, John Franklin Myers, a couple maybe recognizable names, but that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Like I know those guys. Outside of that, I don't know a ton of these guys, and I think it's probably a feather in their cap. And I wonder a little bit about strength of schedule up to this point with these guys balling like they are. Obviously, Sertan is like all pro caliber, but outside of that, it looks like a team that should be theoretically in flux on the defensive side of the ball. They're not playing like it's a credit to them. On the offensive side, it's certainly a little bit better. Sutton, these offensive linemen, particularly Powers and Garrett Bowles there on that left side. Miners has been a mainstay for a couple years there, and they've got McGlinchey there at right tackle now. Troutman's actually been kind of balling. I feel like every time I turn on Red Zone, Troutman's scoring at least once a day.
He
He's
had a
solid.
filthy one-handed catch last week that I'm going to show, and when we get to the
He
stadium.
did. That was a wild decision by Bo Nix to fit that thing in there, but he managed it. Remember the Broncos admin like tweeted out, "What a throw!" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, like, yes, but it's also like just insanely low percentage and a great catch by the Trout man there." And obviously Javonte Williams, we know him very well too. So they got some dudes, man. PFF grades are solid across the board. I'm seeing a lot of green. Little Jordan Humphrey there at wide receiver is the only guy, 57.3 there. But he's always been a solid player too. So I don't necessarily need to only dry hump the stats there with little Jordan Humphrey. I've always liked his game. So
Certainly, their offensive line, when you just look at PFF grade, for example, all of their guards, tackles, and their center, the starting ones, are in the top half of the league. Bowles is a 13th out of 76 qualified tackles. McGlinchey's a 17th, both in the top half. Ben Powers, Ravens fans obviously familiar with the former Raven. Quinn Miners, 21st and 12th, both in the top half of the league. And then Forsythe, their center, is 15th. So a solid starting five. They are physical. They're not like they're like physical, I want to say in a classy way or a classic way. They're physical in the fact that they just finish. And I don't mean they finish like they're not like shaking you to the ground, running you through the bench, but they are disciplined and they want to block and they like it and they're good at it and they finish their plays. So I think they have a really nice unit. We talked about Bo Nix has not taken a ton of sacks, 9 on the year overall. They're not throwing the ball a ton. They did a little bit last week against Carolina, but this offense very much just they play an oldish school kind of game. They want to play a little bit of field position. They want to play running the football. They want to run a lot of play action. Bo Nix on play action versus not play action is drastic. On play action, he has a 92 passer rating. And on non-play action, he has all 5 of his interceptions for a 78.4 passer rating. When he gets the ball out quickly, he has a 95 passer rating. When he holds the ball, he has a 68 passer rating. So good things have happened when he's gotten the ball out quickly. Good things have happened when he has run play action. bad things have happened when he's held the ball or out of straight dropbacks. So when you look at what the Bucs did and a little bit of what the Browns did, staying out of 3rd and long is the game that the Broncos want to play. They want to play field position, run the ball, limit mistakes, all those things. We can talk about the Ravens defense here a little bit, a ton, but just a weird team that beat the shit out of the Bucs. Like, they have played well. I don't know, played a sloppy game against the Jets, but they haven't really faced a lot of good offenses to this point. I think that Aaron Schatz, our boy out of Football Outsiders, formerly now with ESPN as well as FBN, perhaps, sharing the DVOA there, said that they have faced the 27th easiest offensive schedule. They've only faced one offense in the top 10, which was the Bucs, who they did absolutely pistol whip. But then the Seahawks are the only other one, and they're 15th out of 32 teams in DVOA offensively. So haven't really faced a Lamar Jackson. Will they? I don't know. Investors, possibly you. See Stackhouse. Is Jake dressed as a leisurely Unabomber? No, he's dressed as one Super Bowl winning head coach.
Know your history. Come on, Stackhouse. Get with the program.
Speaking of getting with the program, we have hit the 22-minute mark. So I wanted to ask the chat here how you guys want me to decide the winner. There are 247 entrants. Thank you so much to everyone who participated. Full behind the curtain look is that I've been trying to A/B test. Hey, is taking YouTube revenue that we get off of running this little show and pushing it into advertisements more effective? Or I considered a giveaway for a Derrick Henry jersey. So we were like, ooh, okay, let's try this giveaway, see what happens. And it went really well. We're going to start doing monthly giveaways. Next month, we're going to do tickets to a game. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have more info. But for now, we're doing the Derrick Henry one. There are two options. Number one, Jake can pick a number between 1 and 247. Number two, I can use a random number generator. So I'm going to give the chat here a moment. But again, really appreciate everyone. It's going to be super cool being able to get a Derrick Henry jersey. As someone appreciative to all of our listeners as usual, and wanted to ask the chat what we should do here. Should we have Jakey pick it? Ben Gronzik says he'll pick it. Just a suggestion. Option two is random number generator. All right. Oh, now we're split. Tell coach to pick a number. Let Jake the man decide. We'll give it another 15 seconds or so.
Chat, what do we do?
Let us know, chat. Let us know.
It makes me feel young.
If you're watching on YouTube, which we want you to do, obviously, hence the point of this, as opposed to the other one. A lot of Jake. All right, we got a lot of Jake. So, Jake, pick a number between 1 and 247 for me.
I mean, I think we know what I'm going to do here. Very obvious. Couldn't be more obvious. Everyone knows how my mind works, what I'm going to be thinking when I'm told to pick any random number under the face of the sun here, on the face of the earth. Of course, I am picking 22.
Number 22 for Mr. Jimmy Smith there. Number 22 is one Colin Cassio, at Colin_Cassio on Twitter. He is the winner. So, Colin, you will have 48 hours. Otherwise, we're going to bring it back. But Colin Cassio, recounts being demanded.
Colin, that's fantastic.
Were we using election software there? Who knows? Was there a hanging Chad or two? I know our boy Chad is hanging out, but I don't know if we have any hanging.
Chad's a surfer. He's probably hanging 10 right now. I mean, we've got I think the comments there's going to be some. It's going to be like Citizen Kane. Kane defeated fraud at the polls.
Ultimately, a huge shout out. So shout out to Colin Cassio for winning. Really, really excited to get folks a jersey. We're going to be doing a jersey giveaway. We're also going to potentially be doing a live watch party with a ticketed event. It will be catered, things like that, at Clipper City Barber Studio. Shout out to Clipper City Barber Studio. Killer Gorilla said I saw him. I don't know how the hell my password just came in. I don't know. We'll take a look. See, maybe we'll edit that out of the video. But anyway, thank you to everyone. Huge dub there for Colin. We'll get you your Derrick Henry jersey. We'll reach out to him as well. So thank you to everyone who participated. We're going to do those a lot. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube. Please comment, please like, all of those things. Help the good old algorithm. Help us to send people to games, buy jerseys, and do more of what we like doing, which is talking football and putting on stupid little mouse outfits and saying a bunch of dumb stuff. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we really do. It's very nice of everyone who's been here for a while, everyone who's joining in, fresh off the boat, getting with the program, as we like to say. We appreciate you all very much. Happy to give back a little bit in any way that we can, and I think this was a great way to start, and a great job by you, buddy, for coming up with the idea, spearheading a lot of the promotion that we do for the channel. You're very good at that, and I appreciate you as well.
Thank you, Jakey. Thank you to everyone. So with that, let's get into a little bit of tape here. We can get into some Broncos red zone offense. And like I said, I mean, it's kind of just some middle school stuff. We'll call it college stuff. What they do and what I labeled the video is tight alignment and lateral concepts. They're just going to run mesh. This was against the Jets, which was 4 weeks ago. I looked at their every rep they took in the red zone over the last 4 weeks. Mesh, and Jets just get lost. You can play man, you can play zone, you can play man match. The Jets here look like they play a little bit of match through. Looks like number 4 there gets a little lost, probably should have ran. Safety, I don't know what the hell he's doing coming down. And the easiest throw and catch in the world for Bo Nix. So they like to go in tight. They run simple run concepts, and you can kind of see just nobody. 2 safeties both came down, probably one on 22 or 44 ultimately, but just easy stuff. Bo Nix floats the ball in New York and was the only touchdown that I believe either team scored in this game. I have to double check that, but just wide open. And it was kind of a shitty throw, to be honest. Floated it. Not great there. So then we see, again, look, everyone, the last play, all 11 Broncos were within a 15-yard lateral area. Now there's 10 of them, and they have someone detached, which will space the safety out. And we're going to see just a little swing pass with a lead blocker as an option. We're going to see the Raiders play zone, straight zone, which is a little different here. And you're thinking at this point, when the ball is snapped, if you're the Raiders, probably a little power run concept, maybe some option, something like that, maybe a little mesh. So the Raiders sit tight in zone. This back drifts upfield. He's eligible, so he can get up there at that corner, Jack Jones. And then McLaughlin just trucks along the sideline, just happens to slide enough by Robert Spillane, who's had a really nice season for Las Vegas, to go score a touchdown. They're not doing anything fancy, right? These are their first 2 touchdowns scored over the last 4 weeks in that time frame. Nothing fancy. Now we're going to see basically a lot of folks call this pylon. It's basically just crossers in the red zone, but instead you kind of want to angle it to the pylon. So we're just going to see the receivers switch. The Raiders play man this time and run away. Nix floats a nice ball to the back of the end zone. Takes a brutal slide there at the end. But staying in tight, again, relatively tight. Here, let's go back a little bit. Tight. Again, all 11. They motion the fullback out. And you can see that man indicator, right? You can see him start to bubble out. And just runs right past 18. Floats a ball. Good toss. We basically watch Bo Nix get progressively more comfortable in the red zone as time goes on. So that last one to Sutton, kind of just a floater. Anything coming to mind here, Jakey, as you're watching these?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the word simple. That's what they do. They keep it simple. I think we have been talking a lot in recent weeks about, does the Ravens defense need to just simplify things for themselves a little bit? They're talking a lot about communication errors. You got Kyle Hamilton talking about no more palms up, none of that kind of stuff. Feels like this is a good week to just simplify things on your end, not go too crazy with disguised looks and sim pressures and everything like that, and just line up. Like we talked about with this team not necessarily having a ton of top-end talent. I was talking with Tim on 105.7 a couple hours ago. Like, the Ravens defense, like, the talent is there, man, particularly up the spine, like we talk about. They've still got Matabike healthy and playing. I know there's issues with health along the defensive line. You've still got Roquan Smith. You've got Trenton Simpson, who's playing well. You've got Hamilton back there. There's some talent at corner. Like, there's talent here to be playing better than they are. They certainly should not be near the bottom of the league in terms of volumetric passing stats. You should not be having the issues that they're having week in and week out. So yeah, man, like, I totally agree with you wholeheartedly that they just need to line these guys up, play a little bit more simple, save your more complex calls for the money downs, and hope that you can hit a home run there. And again, rookie quarterback at home, 1 p.m., perfect spot to give that a try, So that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for early in this game. Like I said, in the jumbo set, like you got to set a tone early in this one and hope like hell it's a good one.
Yeah. And Zach Orr at the podium today asked some good questions by Pete Gilbert, by Bo Smolka, and asked about the dropped interceptions, asked about big picture. One from Ryan Mink, big picture, when things aren't going as well as you want them to be, how much do you say to yourself, well, we have to change some of what we're doing to get different results versus, hey, I believe in what we've built here and need to be patient for it to come together, is what Ryan Mink asked Zach Orr. Or said, yes, you look at all of it. I think it'd be crazy if you look at some things and think you don't have to change it up. We've been looking at that hard, looking to see what our guys can do out there and execute to the highest level. You look at some things and you feel like you might not have executed the way you wanted to, but you're looking at the rules and fundamentals of the principles that you have to make sure everything is sound. And we've got examples of doing that really well. So you just continue to coach it up. It's a good balance you have to find. What can our players do and what can they execute at the highest level is the best question we can ask. We're always looking at that. I don't care what we run for any coverage. I don't care if we blitz a whole bunch. I don't care if we don't blitz at all. Whatever these guys can go and do and whatever is going to help us. I feel like that's the ad. Like, we've watched them thank you, Killer Gorilla. I'll take a look. We've watched them adjust mid-game. We've watched them start playing man at the end of the Bengals game because they're getting toasted trying to run sim pressures and play zone. And then they get a pick. We've watched them go start blitzing all out against the Browns at the end of the game. Like, they're doing different things. It's not like there's any one thing. That's what is concerning. But it also feels like because of that, it's fixable. It is execution related. If you're not playing well, they're not doing any one thing. They're not doing the simple shit or the complex shit consistently well. There was that comment earlier on. The Ravens lead the league in 20 plus yard plays, explosive plays allowed, but are also top 10 in stuffed plays, 0 or negative yards forced. So it's just the consistency that they're having an issue with. Marcus Williams, a lot of questions coming in about him being asked about. When you have a guy asked by Childs Walker here, when you have a guy like safety Marcus Williams who's used to playing every snap and doesn't play at all, do you feel a need to explain the reasoning behind that? Not just to him, but to the entire secondary or defense. Are they sort of understanding big picture what's going on? Or responded, we've had those conversations with Marcus, and then with the defense on a personal level, we kept those in-house. We had those conversations. And one thing I'll say about Marcus, the way he handled what went down is great. He's just a great teammate. He's been a pro since he's been here. He handled it last week like a pro. So I'm excited to see how he move on and how he moves going forward. Like I said, I got up here and said last week, I've got all the confidence in Marcus Williams. Like I said, he had a great day of practice today and a great day yesterday, and the best is yet to come from him. So, that's kind of the curious case of what happened with Marcus Williams. That gets completely exacerbated by the dropped interceptions from Eddie Jackson. And Eddie Jackson had 5 incredibly negative plays, effectively. 2 touchdowns thrown on him, 2 dropped interceptions. You can call it 3, in my opinion. I think there's other plays he missed, not driving on the ball. Kyle Hamilton was asked yesterday at the podium about, like, what do you need to do better? And they're like, run and tackle. He said, run and tackle better. And I agree. You have to break the fucking play up. Like, we said it so many times already. Click and close, Jake. Click and close. They're not clicking and closing, especially the safeties. Marlon is. Brandon Stevens doesn't really I think he does do that well. I don't think he's had too much this year for whatever reason. There's not a lot of screens on his side and just not really like the situations that teams are putting him in. But, I think Roquan is decently. Hamilton does really well. So put Hamilton in positions to, and that's actually just like what's blowing my mind now to lay it down. I've been saying it all week, but why don't you put the biggest, longest, most explosive athlete that covers the most ground, has the biggest wingspan, probably the best ball skills of anyone in the middle of the field? Why is Kyle Hamilton not the one that's in that middle void there? I don't know, Jake. I don't know.
After last week, he better have been on that jugs machine like stink on shit. I mean, best ball skills. Come on, Kyle. I know you can do better than that. But
shout out to Cody Alexander, and I told him I would shout him out too. A lot of the stats that I pull are from his group. I'm going to try and pull up the exact name of it. Let me see here. Great radio here. Cody Alexander. Havoc rate is something that Cody Alexander does on Field Vision MI, at Field Vision MI. You can check them out. And they call it havoc rate. How many forced incompletions, interceptions, tackles for a loss, basically just negative plays does someone force? Kyle Hamilton's 3rd among safeties. He is the highest Raven in any position group by far. He's the highest on the Ravens. Actually, excuse me, Trenton Simpson's pretty high up there too. He's had a lot without even having sacks or anything. So what does that say to me? Trenton Simpson, Kyle Hamilton, ask them to be the ones that are in that middle void a little more. They're both like 6'2", 6'4", long wingspans, super athletic. They're younger, a little fresher. Ask those guys to be in that void of the middle of the field. I think that solves a lot of your problems. Just, I love the versatility of Kyle Hamilton. It has paid off at times, but your defense is struggling. So I'd like to see him a little more. Marcus Williams had some very quick comments when I'm reading through the transcripts, not more than 2 sentences. So this Broncos team is not going to put you in crazy adverse situations. And I guess we can continue on with the tape. Jake, if there's anything you want to add as well as we pull it back up in that vein.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just an interesting situation. I mean, like, when is the last time we've seen this with this defense, this type of situation? It's been a while, if ever. And I don't know, like I was saying with Tim, like, you gotta find a role for him at this point, because he's being paid a lot of money. He has shown in the past that he's been a very good player. You saw what happened when you didn't play him at all last week and you wasted a roster spot without him. Eddie Jackson is not ready for that kind of smoke. And I don't know. I think the one-arm man, you get a week off, you clear your head. I think they need to get him some snap share this week in a bad way. And I think you're right. Like, using Kyle Hamilton over top certainly seems to be a bit of a natural fix here. You talk about his range. I think I was kind of being a little facetious there. He does have great ball skills. And, if you need to bring him down in those crucial situations like you did when you forced the fumble on Winston last week with him, you can still do that. But I think for more of the base, moving Hamilton back up there, funny enough, you've got your quote-unquote strong safety helping out your free safety. I think that would settle things up top a little bit. So get the one-arm man back in the mix, settle things up top with some help from Hamilton. Maybe just play him a little deeper even too, and not even like mess around with, trying to come downhill and do all sorts of crazy shit. Like, just try to calm things down this week against the rookie quarterback.
Well said, Jake. So can finish out the clips here, calm things down against the rookie quarterback on the road. It's going to be loud for him. Hopefully 1 o'clock games, maybe not as loud as some of the others, especially depending on kind of maybe not the most exciting game in the world, but again, mesh. So they're going to run a slight variation here against the Chargers. They're going to run mesh, and then Troy Franklin is going to kind of give a hard jab at the top, and then he's just going to work inside against man coverage. You can see Franklin, right? Give that hard jab, go back up to the top of the screen there, and score a touchdown. So wide the fuck open. Wide open for Bo Nix. It's a simple concept. It was well executed. They're doing a great job keeping it simple. The threat of the run's there. If you'll also notice, every one of these clips, there is a completely clean pocket also, and that's not going to change here. Tight alignments and lateral concepts. Same deal. Run everyone away. You're going to get a one-on-one to Cortland Sutton. And this is a money ball. I think this is a great throw from Bo Nix, who really likes to put a lot of air on the football, like a ton, especially down here. Kind of reminds me of Romo a little bit in that regard. Maybe young Aaron Rodgers a little bit. Putting a lot of air on the football, gets his one-on-one and throws it up to that 6'3", 200-odd-pound receiver to make a big play. So big stuff from Bo Nix.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting, and like throws like that I think are kind of concerning, because I do like the idea of just flooding the middle of the field with where the beef of your talent is, and making him make difficult throws to the outside and making him flush out to the right, which I've joked around about. Like, every single play early in the season was just him running diagonally and back to the right, and then just trying to make some crazy throw. And I don't know, man, it just seems like he's settled into this offense and he's playing well. And I think, you're showing this clip here that, this clip with the running game, which I think has probably got to be some source of help. I don't really have the data on their rushing attack, but that's something Peyton knows how to exploit very well. He did it in New Orleans with some of the talented backs that he had there, especially toward the end of Breeze's career. I think that was a huge thing there with Kamara. So I don't know, like you mentioned clean pockets, you mentioned him making difficult throws. That has me a little concerned as a Ravens fan, watching a defense that hasn't really been able to get home with 4 very easily, and has had their fair share of giving up difficult throws. You think of some of these freak receivers that they faced, like a Devontae Adams. who absolutely carved them up. And then you think of last week, there didn't even need to be that many free catches because guys were just sort of running wide open back there in the secondary. So I just really have no feel for how this defense is going to look. And it has me pretty worried considering the status of the team's quarterback. So,
yeah, this is the one play you showed that run. It's just nothing special has happened. This is all their red zone touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. This is special. This was a special throw and a great throw. Man coverage against a linebacker, a little stick and nod, knowing that number 8 has to get
bombs.
Yep. Looks it off. I mean, it's not really asking him to do anything mentally tough, but it's a very clean pocket. The Panthers bring pressure. It gets picked up. Eventually, some pressure gets there, and he just throws an absolute dart. It was a good throw over that linebacker, but when you see the back of a linebacker's helmet, the ball's going there every time, every single time. So it was really, I mean, was it a good throw? Yes. Amazing catch. You can see the ball there. Amazing, amazing, amazing catch. So we'll get one final one here. I believe. Oh, this is just the, never mind. This is just the other angle, but yeah, not doing a lot of hard things in the red zone. That should enable the Ravens to bring a little bit of noise and make some big plays. Last one here. Broncos go super quick, super tight, and everyone runs to the middle of the field. The running back leaks out. Simple shit. Simple shit. That's what the Broncos have been doing in the red zone. Have to be able. You've played Burrow, you've played Prescott, you've played Mahomes, you've played Josh Allen, you've played all of the best quarterbacks, pretty much. Like Burrow, Allen, Mahomes. Those are probably the 3 other best quarterbacks in the NFL. You face them in the red zone. You've been worried about the threat of Josh Allen's legs. You've been worried about Burrow's timing and accuracy. You've been worried about Mahomes' creativity. Now you get Bo Nix at home in a 1:00 game when he's played like shit on the road, and they're not doing anything special in the red zone. I don't have an excuse for this defense to be letting up touchdowns in the red zone. That is really the point. I'm going to take the rat poison off. Rat poison has to be done. Marcus Williams has to play. Kyle Hamilton needs to play more safety. Maulet, Humphrey, if they can play, stick them in the slot a little. The offense, we don't know what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson. I'm going to be frank. I took the Broncos plus 14.5 and took Derrick Henry to have 17 plus carries in the event that Lamar Jackson doesn't play. That's even money. If Lamar doesn't play, I think Henry is easily getting 17 carries, and I think the Broncos easily cover 14.5 even money if Lamar doesn't play. So the offensive side of the ball to me is a little in flux. Is Lamar going to play? I think they're the number 1 offense in DVOA. It might look a little bit like the Raiders game where he's hurt, playing a little bit sore, things like that. But defensively, don't let this fucking rookie quarterback beat you in the red zone doing this shit. It would be pathetic. I've defended, people are like, oh, Zach Orr's burner or whatever. I think I've been reasonable. I don't think it's anything but just being neutral and logical. But if you get lit up by Bo Nix doing running mesh in the red zone, that is red flag alarm, 5-ring fire. If they do something creative out of the blue, more power to them. But if you get beat against mesh and dumb passes to the running back in the flat, your defense isn't good against a rookie quarterback. And that's the only way they can win is if they score red zone touchdowns. And the only way they can win is if they don't turn the football over. Force turnovers, get stops in the red zone against a rookie. I'm looking at John Harbaugh for that one too. That's what he's supposed to do, right? Isn't that his thing? Primetime home games and rookie quarterbacks, he beats the shit out of them. Those are his things. So do it.
Yeah, I mean that's where we're at. It's a show me game. Do you have it in you? Are you at the very least a competent defense that can execute at home against a rookie quarterback? As a team, defense is included in this. Can you catch the fucking football? Can you do that? Because you missed out on 5 interceptions. One of them was very easy, and it was to end that game effectively. I think they still would have had to get a first down. So I don't know if it was quite as simple as we thought in the moment, but can you catch the football? Rashad Bateman, can you make those catches on the money downs? Because guess what? There's a guy who just arrived in town here who might be getting into your target share in an ideal situation. And if you continue to make the mental lapses like you did this past week, where you have that big drop on 3rd and 12 or 14 or whatever that was, and then that third down drop that, might have well led to Justin Tucker's miss. These are just the little things that we talk about the championship teams do so well. We watched the Dodgers last night. That 5th inning, man. Yankees make a ton of just tiny mental lapses, tiny mental mistakes. Dodgers just do all the little things correct. They come all the way back from a 5-0 deficit and they win that thing in 5 freaking games because they're just that talented, just that good, but they're also that dialed in.
They're calm. They're locked in. That's why. The Ravens offense is calm and locked in. They know what they're doing. That's why they've been able to come back on teams. The Ravens defense isn't.
Yep, exactly.
I don't know. Is it a reflection of coaching? Sure. We've talked about the brain drain, but I think it's also a reflection of the leadership you have in your players. Roquan, Marcus, Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, Justin Madubuike.
Yeah. The pregame speeches, like I don't need some clip coming out about how they don't respect us and all that. Let's just social media team, all due respect to what you guys do. You do a great job. Let's just kind of play it a little more low key. Just keep it quiet this week. Let them get in there, figure things out. Roquan, let's maybe take the chip off our shoulder a little bit. Let's kind of prove ourselves here a little bit in this one. Like I said, this is just the exact game that you need in a spot like this where you have your worst game of the year. I think arguably, maybe not even arguably. Like we keep saying, rookie quarterback at home. I get that the offense might be not nearly at full strength, but like shit, man, they've been carrying you in a lot of these games. And I know they weren't able to get it done last week, but they got really close when you had your worst game of the year. If you have any sort of gratitude for what they've done for you thus far, it's time to stay overtime, watch a little bit of extra tape, get a little bit of extra work on that jugs machine. Try to repay what they've done to you, defense. Let's start playing up to our talent here. Let's maybe figure things out a little bit, not overcomplicate it, and just go out there and get this thing done.
Well said. Prediction time. I'll say I look like Moroki now in Super Badminton. Yeah. He just has a little flower. If Lamar doesn't play, I think the Broncos win.
Yeah.
I think the Broncos win. They're a physical team. They've been doing their thing. Like I said, I put my own money on the Broncos to cover 14.5 and Derrick Henry have 17 carries in the event that Lamar doesn't play. If he does, that very well could lose. If Lamar does play, all of those things still apply defensively. I don't know. I think we're in for maybe a less exciting or less stress-inducing or eventful game. Nonetheless, a similar game to what we just saw last weekend. Very much so. We watched that Raiders game when Lamar wasn't able to practice and is banged up. I don't know his state. I know that they have another game 4 days after that's more important. The Bengals, divisional opponent, divisional wins are the first tiebreaker. So you'd rather have Lamar for Thursday than for Sunday against the Broncos who are not in your division. So tough to give a prediction, but Lamar plays, I'll go 26-16 Ravens cover. I've been very bullish on them, and maybe that's a little ignorant of me, but this is a pride game for the Ravens defense, for Zach Orr, really for John Harbaugh, for every player on the Ravens defense. If Bo fucking Nix goes into Baltimore and gives you problems, I think heads could roll. I do think heads could roll. I think this defense can fix itself. I think they will be fine this week, and health is part of that. We mentioned Topu and Wormley probably having to play, but lose to a rookie, I don't know.
I mean, that would be for you in particular. That would be the day of.
I predicted the Broncos to go 0-17 this year,
and Bo Nix too. I mean, that's your guy. That would be. This is years in the making.
I hate Bo Nix, but I also did acknowledge he's probably going to be fine because he's older and whatever. He could very well be a better one. But I do think the Broncos are going to go 0-17. So that's my Giants winning the NFC of last year this year.
My Rams.
Probably my worst take on or worst read on any team. Who knows? Hopefully they lose the rest of their games. Fuck the Broncos.
My Rams still got time to turn around, get that 1 seed. Come on, baby. Cooper Kupp's back.
We'll see, just like Colin, we'll see a Derrick Henry jersey once we get a hold of him here. Thank you for tuning in on Spooktober here.
Yep.
I guess we can get out of here.
I'm going to go, if Lamar plays, Ravens win this one 24-21. I don't think this narrative about the defense is going anywhere anytime soon. If they do get this fixed, if they do start to look competent. I don't expect that to happen within a 1 week turnaround. Maybe another acquisition here before the Tuesday deadline. And yeah, man, if they lose this one and Bo Nix just, dumps a bucket of hot water on you, or cold water, I should say, I'd be very worried if I were Zach Orr about my job security. I'll just say that. I just don't know.
I don't think that's what's going to happen. I really, really, really don't. Like if they run the ball on you and you don't have any defensive linemen, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if he's throwing the ball around the yard on you and you can't deal with mesh, then
I would say if it looks like it did last week, where it wasn't even like the running game doing much with Chubb, it was just guys just wide open everywhere, and Winston totally clean pocket, and I don't know, it looked way, way, way too easy. I'd be pretty worried, and I don't think it's going to happen necessarily after this game, but if it just continues and continues, you'll look back at the Browns game and then this one is like, man, that's really where it all started. And neither of us are super reactionary. I don't think we'd expect them to fire anyone midseason, but it wouldn't shock me at this point. And that in and of itself is shocking to me. So it's pretty bad. So yeah, I got the Ravens winning a close one. I don't expect any sort of grand answers to come out of this one if they do win it. And if Johnson has to go, I think the Broncos will win as well. So.
Rattiest line of all time. Broncos are getting all the money early. So that
Did you play your
favor? Huh?
Did you play your clip that I sent you?
Oh, no, I didn't. I forgot. But I appreciate you for clipping that. Just a little rat poison. Just a little Nicky Saban. Rattiest line. Rattiest guy. Spenny the rat. Rattiest poison here in Baltimore. Stop eating it. Lock in. Do your job. Ravens defense. I mean, we've gotten into the blitzing, the coverage, all that stuff. At this point, it doesn't even that's Zach Orr's. It just doesn't matter. It's just stupid shit, like stupid zones. Man coverage is fine. Whatever. We don't have to keep going, but just do your fucking job at this point against a rookie quarterback at home. Shouldn't have to even be said.
Yep. Well said. And that's where we're at with this team right now. It feels like a lot is sort of riding on this one, but no matter what happens, they're going to have to get their shit together and get ready to play another game in, 3.5 short days. So, exciting. I guess we'll see everyone out there at the bank this weekend that is going to be lucky enough to be in attendance. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning into this one. Thank you again to everyone who participated in the Derrick Henry raffle, and congrats to Colin Cassio for winning it. Stay tuned as we'll have more of these things going on. Thanks to Jimmy's Famous Seafood. Thanks to Black Eyed Susan Spices. Thanks to Fed Thrill. Thank you to Clipper City Barber Company. Thanks to everyone who partners up with us. If you liked what you heard, please, once again, subscribe to us on YouTube. Comment on all the videos, like them all, and get the algorithm pumping for us. Tell us about a friend via word of mouth. Tell a friend about us on social media at Exit52 Podcast on X. I am at Jake Louque. That's LOUQUE. Spenny is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4 in the middle. Find Brian at Barstool Banks. Eric at EDITTI22. Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10. Until next time, guys, we'll talk to you.
See ya.
Arrivederci.